Hi everyone, it's Darren. Welcome. Today's video is a little bit different. It's our first time actually responding to a viewer comment. Had a viewer was having a problem with elapsed time, and elapsed time you'd think would be easy. It's just the end time minus the start time gives you elapsed time. It doesn't always work, and you'd think Excel would fix it, and they don't. But it's easy to explain why they don't, but it's very difficult to explain exactly how to fix it. So I actually responded to the viewer twice. The first response was the very proper Excel method of fixing the problem. It's, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then it works. And it worked fine. It was this big, long, ugly formula. And then the next morning I realized, there's a really easy way to just exploit Excel's data storage and do this really, really easy. Uh, so we're going to start off with a proper Excel way to do it. And then I'm going to tell you the really simple way to do it. So make sure you stick around to the end to hear the really simple way to fix this. But first, let's look at why there's a problem in the first place. Okay, so Excel, as we've discussed in other videos, dates, times, they're just numbers. There's nothing special about them. Uh, dates are stored as simple integers. It's the number of days since January 1st of 1900, which as far as Excel knows is the beginning of time. Times are decimal parts of that. So midnight is 0 time. Uh, Noon is zero point 0.5. Uh, and it's obviously it's zero point 0.5 days. And that's why you can add hours and get days that way. So let's take a look at these. So over here, I actually have some days entered, and let's see what happens if well, let's just copy the stuff over first so that you can compare a little bit easier. Okay, let's convert these dates into simple numbers. Format cells, and we're going to make that a number. And see, January 1st, 1900 is 1. January 2nd, 1900 is 2. January 3rd, 1900 is 3. June 25th, 2025 is 45,833 days since January 1st of 1900. So those are simple, that's just a simple integer. Let's look at times here. Okay, so let's convert these to numbers. So we'll do format cells, number, and I'll give you a couple more decimal places here. So as I mentioned, midnight is 0. 6 a.m. is a quarter of the day, so it's 0.25. Noon is half a day, it's zero point 0.5. And 6 p.m. is 3/4 of the day, so 0.75. What if you subtract 6 a.m. start time from a 6 p.m. end time? Okay, well, let's try that. That gives us equals, let's see, that's A9 minus A7, and that gives us 12 p.m., which is just a formatting. So we'll go back and we'll format the cells and we'll change it to an elapsed time format here. And that's 12 hours. And that's pretty much what we'd expect, right? But what happens if instead we subtract, so the person came in at 6 p.m. and left at 6 a.m. So that's, they came in, let's see, so it's going to be, they left at A7, which is when they left, minus A9, which is when they came in, and you get an error. And the problem is, in fact, you see the comment there, dates and times that are negative are too large. It's a negative date. There was no time, as far as Excel knows, before midnight local time, January 1st, 1900. So when you're doing elapsed times, this sort of thing comes up. So what can we do about it? Well, let's take a look. Okay, here I have a bunch of times, and I have start and stop times here. Let's put in the formula and see where we actually have problems. So this is equals B2 minus A2. And again, we'll just change this format here to elapsed time. Format cells, time, pick elapsed time down here. Okay, 6 hours. Great. From 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. is 6 hours, 9 a.m. to noon, 6 hours, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., 6 hours, noon to 6 is 6 hours, 3 to 9 is 6 hours, 6 p.m. to midnight doesn't exist. 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. doesn't exist. But then we go back to 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. does exist again. So we know from the previous sheet that what's going on here is that this is generating a negative number. So the way you need to fix this using the Excel method, you actually have a couple of options involved here. One option is that you could actually change this and put the dates on here. Let's just put this over here temporarily. Um, so this is going to be, let's do 1 to 1900 at, let's go and do 2100 hours. So that's 9 p.m. on January 2nd. And you could enter it over here as 1/3/1900 at 3 a.m. And then over here you can do equals F1 minus E1. And it gives you quarter of a day, format that, quarter of a day is 6 hours. So that's one way to do it. If you don't know how many days are potentially going to be elapsed, like if this is a process run that it might run 6 hours and some processes might run 15 days, you're going to be entering your start and stop date anyway. If this is employee start and stop time, uh, this is going to be a pain really quick to type in your dates that way. It does work. No question it works. In fact, here, I'll just format this just to show consistency here. So it works fine, but it can be a pain. Easier for the calculations, harder for whoever has to type the stuff in. So the right Excel way to do it actually involves manually calculating your date and time, manually calculating your elapsed time. So you break down hours and minutes and seconds into a single common unit, do the calculations on that common unit, and then convert it back. Now, you can convert it to hours or minutes or seconds or days or years or whatever you want. Personally, I work better with integers. I think most people just think better with integers as opposed to trying to think, okay, this is, 0.037429 plus 0.69, whatever. 5 plus 10, easy, 15, right? So we're going to work with integers, which means that we convert down to the smallest unit, and the smallest unit is seconds here. So let's take a look at what we need to do here. Let's get rid of this one because this is going to be confusing. Okay, that one's gone. Okay, so if we want to convert this to seconds, what we do is equals second of A1. Sorry, second of A2. That might work better. And we have 0. Actually, let's just do this a bit shorter. Well, we'll do the seconds on here. Okay. And then we have minute of A2 is also 0 in this case. And we have hour of A2. Okay, well, this is getting us a little bit confusing, so let's actually put some different numbers in here. So we're going to come in at 12:30. I'll leave it 12:45, 6:45. Okay, so I've updated some of these times. I'm just going to change the format on these a bit. So let's go ahead and come in here and change the format so I can see the seconds on here. Just that one. Okay. So you see I added seconds on some and I don't have a lot of zeros anymore, which is good. Okay, so now I have seconds, minutes, and hours. Well, what can you do with those though? And the answer is that you need to sort of add everything together. So if I want A2 in seconds, it'd be seconds from midnight in this case. That's going to be equals second A2 plus, okay, now I need minutes, right? So minutes A2 times 60, because there's 60 seconds in a minute, plus hour A2 times 3,600. And 3,600 is 60 times 60, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. And then I'm going to go get rid of the S on here because that's a typo and change that to elapsed time. Format cells, time, elapsed time here. Actually, this is just in straight seconds, so it's not really elapsed time. Sorry, so that one's is simply a number, and I know it's 0 decimal places. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of these. Okay, so I know that 12:30 a.m. is 30 minutes, 30 times 60, 1,800 seconds. So that's 1,800 seconds from midnight. I can actually just copy this over here, and that gives me the seconds for the end time as well. So my elapsed seconds is going to be E2 minus D2. And it's probably work better if I did E2 minus D2 instead of D2 minus D2. Okay, so my elapsed seconds is 22,500 seconds. And then I need to pull that back into something useful because 22,500 seconds just isn't that intuitive for us. Working with whole numbers, very intuitive. Working with 22,500 seconds, not great. Okay, so now we have to convert this back to hours, minutes, and seconds. And how do we do that? Well, let's put some headers on here because this is going to get confusing here pretty quick. So this is A1 seconds, or A seconds, I suppose. This is B seconds. This is elapsed seconds. Shrink these down a bit because I'm going to run out of room if I don't on the screen. Okay, so now I have to convert this into hours, minutes, and seconds. And we're going to do this. We're going to start off by using the modulo operator. So equals modulo is mod. And the number I'm dividing by is F2 divided by 60. And that gives me 0. So that's seconds. And now let's just copy this down just to show you what we are looking at here. Okay. So since this one had 30 seconds difference on it, that gives me 30 seconds. Okay, so over here in column F, I have the total elapsed seconds. In column G, I have the seconds part, the remainder part that's not even hours or minutes. So now what I need to do is get the part that is total elapsed minutes. So let's do this. And elapsed minutes is going to be H2 minus G2, which gives me the seconds that are in even hours and minutes. And we'll divide that by 60. I have 375 minutes and 345 minutes there. Okay. So this is getting a little bit nicer, a little bit easier to calculate what's in your head. This is, remember, this column is the seconds that we actually are going to care about. Yeah, a little bit lighter here. But no, so that's going to be tacked on to the end. But now we need the elapsed um, minutes without the hours in it. So this is actually exactly the same formula again, right? It equals mod H2 60. Because there's 60 minutes in an hour. And 15, yep. 45, yep. Okay. So now we need to pretty much repeat the process again. Well, this column, again, we'll be coming back to that one because we want to use that one. The same formula again, really. In this case is elapsed hours, which is equals H2 minus I2, which gives me the minutes that are in whole hours, and we'll divide that by 60. We have 6 hours. Okay, so we're all good here. And this actually is also our final number. So this is 615, 0, 615, 0, 545, 30, 545, 30. Okay, so we're all good here. Let's see if this works as we take this down. And this works. We have some negative numbers here, but we can live with those for right now. So where you had errors before, now you see we have negative numbers. So we'll have to deal with those. Well, let's put this together here. Equals, sorry, time, which is the J2, I2, G2. And change this over to elapsed time. Format cells, time, elapsed. Okay, so that one looks good. We come down here, and that one looks bad. Okay, so we didn't quite fix it yet, although we have manually broken down our time functions. We've manually calculated time without using Excel's built-in functions. So what do we do to fix this? Well, easiest thing to do to fix it is to simply look at, where do we have errors, which are these two columns, these two rows, and the first sign of an error that doesn't actually kick out an error is these are negative. So how do we change it? Well, easy way to change that, let's come up here and do if E8 minus D8 is less than 0, then E8 minus D8, or sorry, excuse me, then this equals, yeah, E8 minus D8 plus how many seconds are there in a day? And I don't know that one off the top of my head. So we're going to come over here. And this is going to be equals 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 86,400. Okay, ignore this stuff over here. That's not relevant to what we're doing. That's just Excel trying to be helpful. So I want to say if E8 minus D8 is less than 0, then E8 minus D8 plus 86,400. Else E8 minus D8. And now those numbers are positive, and let's just copy this through the whole thing here. Make sure it doesn't create any other problems for us. Nope, none of the other numbers changed. So now you wind up with the correct elapsed time for even with a midnight crossing. Now, that's the first part of the hard way. The second part of the hard way, you can actually combine all of this into one big ugly formula. And I could sit here on the video and do it and make 15 typos along the way. Uh, Typically, I wouldn't make this many temporary columns. Uh, Conveniently, I do in fact have this formula. Where is it here? Here's the formula. So if you take all of that stuff, you put it all together, you stick it all into one cell, it looks like this formula. That's really ugly and really hard to follow. But it sometimes is worth doing it. It makes it easier for other people to look at that and see what's going on. And this is actually the sheet that I was using when I was trying to figure out what was going on and how to give a good answer. Uh, and the person did respond back that this worked, by the way. Uh, so you can combine it all into one formula. All you're doing is you're just stacking this stuff up. So you have, so you take J2, and instead of just putting J2, you come over here and you copy this J2 part and put it into there, and it just gets really long and ugly. Okay, so this is the hard way to do it, but this is the proper Excel way to do it. This is the way that you should do it in Excel if you don't want to exploit the data types. And before we talk about what to do if you do want to exploit the data types, uh, let me just say if you are getting anything out of this video, if I've confused you so far and you're looking forward to the easy way, I suppose, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit notify, tell your friends about this. We're trying to grow the channel, and that's the way that you do it. That's the way you tell the YouTube algorithm to send more people this way. Also have a Patreon page over at patreon.com/data analysis excellence. If you could help out there, a few bucks a month, that would be great. Okay, easy way to do this. Okay, let's come over here, and we're just going to give myself a couple rows to work with here. Okay, easy way to do it. So you saw we had B2 minus A2 here, and everything was great. Okay, so the problem that you have is that you can't really exactly add a day to this. It's hard to explain to Excel what you're really trying to accomplish. But what you can do is add one. Yeah. All that stuff that I did over there, add one. Watch this. Equals if B8 is less than A8, which means that it crossed midnight, right? Then we want to do, and they have to have the parentheses here or else you give an error. equals B8 plus 1. Remember, plus 1, remember at the beginning we said that's a day because these are all just numbers. There's just formatting on the numbers. So we do B8 plus 1, and then we do minus A8, else B8 minus A8 if it doesn't cross midnight. And that gives you the right time. And we can copy this through the others here. And it always works. Far easier than the other system. What this really comes down to is just understanding and exploiting the way Excel's actually just storing this data. Uh, why does Microsoft do this to us? Why do we have to go through these hoops? Well, they had to really pick a beginning of time. You can't just say, you know, whatever, time just sort of happens. Uh, Realistically, if you are looking at just entering the time without the date, it's always putting those, as we saw over here, it's always putting these at January 1st, 1900. We can change this format and show that. So if we come over here to date, we pick the date time format, you can see um, what was entered just as 12 midnight is actually January 1st, 1900 at 12 midnight. So what we're doing is we're adding one, we're making it, uh, actually it's January 0th. We're adding one to make it January 1st, so now it can subtract. Okay. So that's really all there is to it. You can do it the hard way. You can do it typing all this stuff out, very much the Excel way. You can combine all of those into one really long, ugly formula that works. It works great. Or you can do what I did over here and simply check and add one if you need to. Um, so this is a special case of working with dissimilar units. Here you have hours, minutes, and seconds. We could potentially have days, weeks, months, years, whatever on here as well. Uh, this is a special case of it. I have another video. It's going to be coming out soon, which is more of a general case. Excel has functions for dealing with time. They don't always work, as we saw. We have to like play with them just a little bit here and there, but they do have functions for dealing with time if we need them. But if you're doing things like inches, feet, yards, and miles, Excel has no built-in functions for that. It doesn't have a data type to represent that. If you're doing teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, pints, quarts, gallons, Excel has no way of doing that. So you have to do it manually. And check out the other video, and I go into a little more detail on exactly how we're doing that and how to get back to something that makes sense. But it's essentially the same process that I just did here with the long way. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something from it. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe to the channel. And helping out over on Patreon would be great too. And I look forward to seeing you next time.